Shrek was a 2001 animated comedy and fantasy film that featured almost all the storybook characters, from Cinderella to Snow White, Puss in Boots, Rapunzel, Pinocchio, and even Merlin and Arthur Pendragon. It was about an ogre and a princess from a kingdom far, far away. And today we shall have the honor of looking at some of the characters who rolled in the franchise, and everybody that voiced them, where they are and how old they are in 2025. We kick off with an ogre named Shrek, the main character who lived alone with a resentment towards those who judged him by appearance. He later on met Donkey, who became his best friend and accomplice. Before meeting Fiona and Donkey, he lived a simple and solitary life without the urge to associate himself with others due to the people's fear of him. He was born 30 years before the film to unnamed parents, but we learnt that he escaped from home when he was just 7 years old because his father wanted to eat him. An ogre voiced by Michael John Myers, who is a Canadian actor and comedian, and will still voice Shrek in the upcoming Shrek Part 5. Donkey was a talkative and a really happy creature, who was also a euphoric and a happy-go-lucky guy. He was Shrek's sidekick and best friend who went on adventures with him. A small donkey married to a real dragon and fathered quite a few children with her. He was always hyperactive and simple-minded, who was very social with everyone he met. He loved making friends, which was a trait that came from the fact that he was a genuinely kind and selfless fella. He also loved eating every kind of food, with waffles being his favorite dish. He was voiced by the amazing Eddie Murphy, who is an American actor, comedian, and singer, and is recognized as one of the greatest comedians of all time. He shall also voice Donkey in Shrek Part 5. Geppetto was the father and creator of Pinocchio. He was an old man who wore specs and rocked a mustache with a long-sleeved gray shirt and sometimes wore a brown apron. He was a selfish and a greedy man who sold Pinocchio for money and was also seen making Pinocchio dance in front of an audience so that he could earn some cash. Voiced by Christopher Miller, who is an American filmmaker and producer. The Gingerbread Man was a gingerbread cookie who was created by the Muffin Man and was a good friend to Shrek. He was made from gingerbread and was about the size of a human hand. He always presented himself as a cheerful and carefree individual, but was rather an anxious and worrisome fella. He was also brave at times, as we saw him later in the franchise being in the front line to war as a huge Titanic bread. He was voiced by Conrad Vernon, who is an American voice actor and a storyboard artist, and has also helped in animating films like Monsters vs. Aliens and Madagascar. Lord Farquaad was the ruthless and merciless ruler of Duloc, who always wore a red hat and a red cap with his red tunic and black sleeves. He was a tyrannical dictator who would do anything to become king. He never cared about his people, and this was seen when he openly admitted to risk the lives of his kingdom and his own knights to rescue Princess Fiona, so that he didn't have to do it himself. Due to his short stature, he knew that people wouldn't respect him, so he made them fear him instead. Voiced by John Lithgow, who is an American actor, and we can also remember him in Dexter playing the role of Trinity. The Big Bad Wolf, or just Wolfie, was a talking wolf who hanged around with other fairy tale creatures, and was not known to speak much. He was always seen wearing the clothes of Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother, and unlike his counterpart in story tales, he was a harmless and a well-mannered wolf who was on good terms with the three little pigs. He was voiced by Aaron Warner, who is an American film producer and sometimes voice actor, and is actually the one who produced this animation. Robin Hood, who was known as Monsieur Hood in this film, was a local robber and the leader of the Merrymen. He appeared later on in the franchise and was still the Robin Hood that we know. He stole from the rich and gave it to the poor, and was always the main topic of Shrek and Donkey regarding his morality. And in this universe, he was a Frenchman rather than the British we identify him with. Voiced by Vincent Cassel, who is a French actor that has earned a César Award and a Canadian Screen Award, and also a Screen Actors Guild Award for his masterpiece roles in movies and shows. There was a certain bishop who was a wedding officiator in the franchise. He acted as the marriage officiant for Princess Fiona and Lord Farquaad's wedding. He also officiated Shrek and Fiona's wedding in the swamp, and was voiced by Val Betten, who was an American actor who was known for using an English accent in all of his roles. He sadly passed away on January 7, 2021 at the age of 97 years. The Duloc mascot was a citizen of Duloc and was a worker at the front gates of the kingdom. He always wore a giant bobblehead of Lord Farquaad's likeness and was seen running away after seeing Shrek coming into the city. He was also seen in Shrek's and Fiona's wedding as a guest, and it was Andrew Adamson who voiced his few words. He is a New Zealand film director and animator who works in DreamWorks, and is married to his wife Julnara Karaeva and blessed with 2 kids. Princess Fiona was the princess of Far, Far Away, and was the daughter of a king known as Harold and Queen Lillian. She later got married to Shrek and became the mother of triplets. She was the only child, and was originally a human girl who transformed into an ogre for love. Puss was a ginger-striped cat that was skilled in battle with his iconic sword, who later joined Shrek and Donkey as their best friend. He was an honorable fighter who was always on the lookout for an adventure and would do anything to protect his friends. Arthur Pendragon was the boy who succeeded King Harold as the king of the kingdom of Far, Far Away. Prince Charming was kind of a celebrity in the kingdom and wanted to be the one who would rescue Princess Fiona from the Dragon's Keep. He was a wealthy and a mama's boy who was just an arch-nemesis of Shrek. Queen Lillian was the ruler of Far, Far Away. She was the wife of King Harold and the mother to Princess Fiona. Merlin was a retired magic teacher from Artie's High School in Worcestershire Academy. He was a wizard and an eccentric old man who had a long white beard and a yellow dress-like shirt and a wizard hat. King Harold was the husband of Queen Lillian and the ruler of the kingdom. He passed away at the beginning of the 3rd Shrek. Rapunzel was a former friend of Princess Fiona, who later left her to join Prince Charming and his army. She had a very long hair, but was later revealed to be a wig at the end of the film. The beautiful Cinderella was a princess from her own fairy tale, and was also another friend of Princess Fiona. She loved cleanliness and tidiness, as was seen taking the role of a houseworker for her stepmother and her stepsisters. She was a kind and caring princess who also appeared to suffer from obsessive-compulsive disorder. And finally, the fairest of them all, Snow White, who was another friend of Fiona who loved singing and had the power to charm animals and make them follow her orders. And unlike her traditional characterization, she was known to be very boastful and vain, and always called herself the fairest of them all throughout the kingdom.